Well, good evening, everyone. How are you doing? My name is Mickey Daigle, and I'm zooming in from Gonzales, Louisiana. And my husband, Kerry, and I have been with the Juice Plus company now for 35 years, for some of you who I have never had the pleasure of meeting. And boy, am I excited about the call tonight, as many of you are, because you know how exciting this young lady that's going to be our guest speaker is. She's vivacious, as Carrie says. She's exciting. She keeps us going. And you know, she was really the voice of Keep Punching. If you remember, before we had Zooms, we had just phone calls and it was conference calls. And when you would tune in, you would hear Miss Lee Ellen Kline being the voice of Keep Punching. And now, from these calls, the calls that we had, we now use Zoom, which we like even better because now you see, I can see all your faces, and I can see if you're paying attention or if you've fallen asleep on us. Well, tonight you will not fall to sleep, I promise you, because Miss Ellen Kline will not allow anyone to fall to sleep while she's talking. You will be taking notes and you will be all into this presentation. So we know who she is, we know her voice. We've seen her on the Keep Punching Zooms, and Carrie and I have been very, very fortunate to be able to have a relationship with Lee Ellen outside of just the business, but I feel we have a personal relationship. And that's why I'm very, very excited to see if Lee Ellen would start off the night with the big announcement.
Oh, goodness. Well, if you haven't seen or if you don't follow me on social media, my husband and I are expecting twins, and we just had a gender reveal, and we are having a boy and a girl. So we are having one of each, and we are just over the moon excited.
I can't wait to start shopping for you. I was waiting for that moment. I was waiting because I love to shop for babies. And so I was waiting for the moment of what will it be? Well, you see, I could have started with boy or girl. It wouldn't have mattered. We
Didn't
would have
matter.
had it. We'd have had it all. So her first surprise to us was she was having twins. Well, first of all, she was pregnant, and then she was having twins, and then now she's having boy and girl. So exciting for the Juice Plus family. I think all of you are going to participate in that excitement too. So, Lee Ellen, why don't we get started? You know, before we get started into any training or anything, I want them to get to know Lee Ellen. Besides just being the voice of Keep Punching, who is Lee Ellen? Give us more. Let us hear about your background, before Juice Plus.
Okay, cool, perfect. I can do that. So, growing up, every child and young adult has this idea of what they want to be when they get older. And while, of course, I would say things like, I want to be a veterinarian because I loved animals so much, or I'm going to be a nurse because I got a really awesome scholarship to nursing school, the one thing that never changed for me is I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom since the beginning of time. So before I started Juice Plus, I actually dropped out of college because I couldn't figure out what the heck I wanted to do with my life. But in the meantime, I was pursuing photography. I'm now a professional photographer. I was working as a nanny. I was working as a dental assistant, a photographer's assistant. I was working as an acro yoga instructor. So I actually had 6 part-time jobs when I started this business. And while I had a lot of fun doing all of those things, at the same time, before Juice Plus came around, I was a very lost 22-year-old just trying to figure it out. And that was a little bit more about me before Juice Plus.
So, how did you hear about Juice Plus?
Well, to answer that question, and we're gonna have to take it all the way back to 2018. I signed up in 2018 because I got an Instagram direct message. So my beautiful friend Victoria Van Duzy posted on her Instagram that she was going to be hosting this faith and fitness boot camp. And I remember thinking a day of faith and fitness, sign me up. let me get both of that. Give me some Jesus, give me some workouts in. Perfect. Bada boom, bada bam. It was during Victoria's boot camp that I had this strong feeling of where God was leading me. It felt like one of those moments in life where it was like, He put me here for a reason. Now it's my job to figure out what that reason is. And so you see, we went aside. We were having a pool day at the end of camp, and we went aside, and she gave me an inside look to what my life could be like because I was curious. I was watching her on Instagram and I saw what she was up to. All I needed to do was be open to learning more. And thank God that I was open because I don't know where I would be right now. So, Victoria spoke to me a bit about the Juice Plus business, and it just made sense. It was a mission-driven company. It had been around for a very long time, and it was a product that every single human on this earth needed because no one I knew at least was eating enough fruits and vegetables. So once I learned more about the product, it felt like one of those things you must share because once you learn, you can't unlearn how good it is. And so it only made sense to share with my closest friends and family. So, long story short, I actually said yes to both the product and the business at the same time. I was one of those unicorns that caught the vision for both. But I do want to say during this conversation with Victoria, she wasn't just spilling and spilling and spilling on the business and the product. I was the one talking a lot. Like I was listening to what she was saying, I was asking questions, and then she'd ask me a question back. And she was able to relate it to my life. And the vision that I wanted was to be that stay-at-home mom one day. And so she was able to lead it to where I could see myself doing that with Juice Plus as my vehicle.
So now I do know that you have a great Juice Plus story also as a product. You have a great business, but what about your product story? Why don't you share that with us a little bit?
Absolutely. I will talk about my product story any day. And for any new listeners on the call tonight, I do want to preference we don't make claims as a company because every single person is uniquely themselves. So just because these things happen to me, I can't guarantee that they will happen to you. However, when I first started Juice Plus, I noticed the initial things like an energy increase and my hair and my nails were doing better, but I was silently suffering with some really harsh digestive issues that a 22-year-old should not be facing. I was in and out of the gastro trying to figure out what the heck was going on with my stomach. I did different antibiotics, different probiotics, different tests. And in the end, I went in for an appointment and my doctor looks at me and she says, "You know what? It's time to schedule your colonoscopy." Oh, and I had to take a step back and I looked at my doctor and I didn't say this out loud, but I was like, "You must be crazy. That's just it. We're just going to schedule a colonoscopy. That's all we can do." And so I looked at her and I said, "Listen, I don't even remember what this doctor's name was, but I said, 'Listen, doctor, I've been doing this new thing for about 2 months now. And a little birdie told me that our body creates new red blood cells every 120 days. So let me give it the time to get this product into my system and just see if anything happens. Let me see if I feel any better before, scheduling something as drastic as maybe a colonoscopy sounds like for a 22-year-old. That being said, I have not been back to that doctor since. And those gut issues were no longer a detriment in my life. And the only thing that I changed was adding Juice Plus to my system. And I had tried a lot of different things and nothing worked, but that was the only thing that I changed. So at that point, I'm ready to share with everybody about Juice Plus. And through that, I was able to learn so many people have gut health issues. So many people do. So now it is an obligation of mine to share. If I hear anybody say that they have gut health issues, I got to talk to that person. But I was on such a high at that time. And honestly, I was set. I was like, I don't need anything else to happen. I am set. My gut is better. But as I kept taking it, those 4 months then turned into 7 months. And I noticed I wasn't reaching for my exercise induced inhaler as much anymore. And Victoria actually challenged me one day. She said, "Lee Ellen, Go run a mile on the treadmill with me. Let's see if we can do it. And let me preference this with I have had severe exercise-induced asthma my entire life. So the fact that she wanted to go run a mile had my alarm bells going, no, this is a strong no. But we did it, and I didn't have to use my inhaler. And that was huge. And the cool thing is that there's research on this, you guys. There's research on gut health. There's research on lung health. There's research on vision, which is my next point. I added in our omegas, and I had really bad vision. I always tell people, if you can see the big E when you go to the doctor's offices, I couldn't see that. That's how bad my vision was. And I was told that I would never be a candidate for eye corrective surgery based on how bad my vision was because it decreased. Well, I went in for an appointment. My vision stabilized. They said, What's going on here? If you can do that 3 more years in a row, you could potentially have eye corrective surgery. And so, because my vision was so bad, I couldn't get LASIK, but I was able to get eye corrective surgery in the form of eye implants. And so, I now have 20/20 vision thanks to the implants that I was able to get surgically put into my eyes. So, that's just a little bit about what Juice Plus has done for me. And now, of course, being able to feed it to my babies is such peace of mind. It's really like an insurance in my head that I'm doing everything I can to fuel myself and them the best that I know how. And again, we don't make any claims, but those have been such huge life changes for me.
Well, I love the way you say the big E because, I mean, can we all visualize that?
Yeah.
The girl could not see. Every time you tell that story, it tickles me.
Blind as a bat over here. Not anymore.
Well, now, Lee Ellen, you started the business, you joined us in the business, and you went to a lot of events around here in the Louisiana area where you live. And you ended up becoming, well, now she's a senior sales coordinator in our business, which is one of our leadership positions. Well, I know that you've never missed a conference since you started. You've never missed one. You've been there. You're taking notes. You're always ready to go. I mean, in fact, you're packing probably a week before conference is coming on. You're ready. Let's look at conference and tell the audience really, what does conference mean to, especially like a new person? Maybe share what you saw when you went to your first conference and how you feel every time you go to conference.
That is a great question. I could probably spend the next 30 minutes talking about. So let me see if I can put that in
Condense
in a few sentences here. I believe that it is crucial for anybody and everybody to attend conference. And you may be thinking, I don't have the time, I don't have the finances, it's not worth it. Let me tell you, it is. You can spend all the time you want on the hub. You can spend time talking to your sponsors, maybe your sideline buddies, learning more about Juice Plus, our mission, our business. But it's at a conference where you can really catch a vision, and you owe that to yourself. I think anybody that signs up for this business, whether they just want a discount on this product or maybe they want to move a little bit further, should go because you deserve to have that opportunity to catch that vision and understand why and how Juice Plus can truly change your life for the better. I believe you really owe it to yourself to go and experience this conference because it is truly magic. We like to refer to it as our Juice Plus bubble because these people will lift you up. You will have the biggest smile on your face the entire time, and you get your cup poured into. And then the cool thing is, when you leave, you're so full that you then get to go out and pour into other people. And how often does things like that happen? How often do you get to say yes for yourself to have a weekend of people just pouring into you, and then you get to go and share that with others? So again, whether you want to pursue this business or maybe you're just doing this as a little side part-time gig, it is worth it because you will grow more as a human being. They always say, people, we always say that this company is a personal development course disguised as a business, and it truly is. And I believe everyone should have that personal development, and what better way to do it at a Juice Plus conference where you know you get the best of both worlds with our amazing community, our amazing product, and a mission that is just on fire.
Well, I know that our last conference, you were honored with the opportunity to be able to co-host with Mr. Jason LaChance, and you did a fantastic job. In fact, what Lee Ellen is a boxing coach too, and she does that. One of her jobs that she has and she loves. It's more of a hobby, I think, that she has. She actually led off the crowd with a few boxing moves, and she challenged Jason LaChance into doing that. So it was a lot of fun there too. So before we leave the whole fact of conference, give us a highlight. What's a highlight if you can kind of sum up? And I know I'm putting you on the spot here because you've been to many conferences, but what would be a highlight that maybe you probably always take back certain things from conferences, but is there something that always sticks out?
Yes. So thinking back through highlights, I could literally think of so many golden nuggets from what people say, trainings people do, things that we learn about Juice Plus. But I'm actually going to take it in a different direction because this really stood out to me. So been many conferences over the years that I've been to, but I want to go back to two conferences ago. I was asked to speak on a panel where the company asked us Gen Zs and millennials to basically roast them on how they can be doing better as a company. And the reason that that stands out to me first and foremost in my mind when I think about highlights is because what other company does that?
Yeah.
What other company does that? So myself, along with the other beautiful women that sat on the panel next to me, were able to share our thoughts and our feelings around what we believe that we need this company to do to attract younger people, attract the younger generation. And corporate was in the room listening to us. And that to me is huge. What other job, what other company will ask you to tell them what they could be doing better?
And many millennials and Gen Zs feel like they're not being heard sometimes. So that was, yeah.
So that to me was absolutely huge that they wanted us to do that. And then of course I have to mention just being asked to speak on stage was such a huge highlight of mine. And let me tell you, when I got the call to do it, I was so excited, also a nervous wreck, not because I was nervous to speak, but because I was in the middle of my first trimester, nausea and tiredness. But I was gonna find a way to get onto that stage. And I'm so thankful that I was able to make it happen. And then, of course, when I was done speaking, I was able to pull the Daigles outside and tell them that I was pregnant. So that is, of course, a huge highlight for me from this past conference.
We can't even talk about that because you bring tears to my eyes of excitement again all over because that was very, very exciting. The only thing she's missing is outside. It was cold and raining when she did this.
Yeah. But other people couldn't be around because I was too early to tell other people. It's like we have to go outside.
She said she wanted to take us outside and I'm like, do we have to take a picture in the rain?
We
That
did.
makes sense. But anyway, it was worth it. It was worth it. It was a big,
Yeah.
big surprise. So, um, I remember, I'm going to go back a little bit. I remember when I first met you, when Carrie and I first met you, and you would listen to the whole portion of the business, and you'd say, "That's what I want. I want to be that stay-at-home wife and mom. That's what I want to be able to build this business to be able to make this happen." Well, you weren't even married at that time, and I used to tell you that. Well, you gotta get married first. We gotta go through. There's baby steps, baby steps to make this thing happen. You're gonna, you got Chris, and then y'all gonna get married, and that's so. All those steps have been met. You're in the business. You're a senior sales coordinator. Y'all had a beautiful wedding, and then you got pregnant and you're having twins and a boy and a girl. So it's like, your goals have really been met on your personal life. So how are you planning on there's going to be a lot of big changes coming up in your life. Lots of big changes. And I have to say this about Chris, her husband, because she always said she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And he corrected her and he gave us a new verbiage. Instead of being a stay-at-home mom, she's going to be a work from home mom, and that's what she's going to do. And that's what all the women in our business who are at home working our business and building tremendous businesses, you're a work from home mom, because listen, Juice Plus is a simple business, but it's not easy. You do have to put some, you got to get a little work ethic out there. You have to do some things. So although you're based at home, you are a work from home mom. And I love that. And so I always want to thank Chris for switching that out for us because it made sense. So what are your plans? What do you feel you see this looking like as this busy mom of twins?
Well, let me tell you, before I even get to that, I just want to say now more than ever, I am so excited to have this business at my fingertips as a mom with two babies on the way. Because hearing my friends and people in my inner circle that are also going to be having babies soon talk about daycare and having to leave their kids to go back to work, plus the expense of it all, just reminds me how truly grateful and thankful I am to have Juice Plus. And listen, pregnancy tired is real. So I may not be working my business as actively as I have in past seasons, but I actually think that that's the cool thing about our business is that it never leaves. It never goes away. It's always there. And I cannot wait to get my business booming again. And I'm actually so proud of myself for having such a solid customer base and still getting a reoccurring check every single month. And I can't wait for my kids to be able to watch me be that work from home mom and to show them what drive, dedication, and commitment can look like while having the flexibility to be a present mom. So, handling all of these big changes that are coming up, first and foremost, I could not do it without the help of my amazing husband, Christopher. I truly don't know what I would do without him, especially in that first trimester when all I could do was sleep and try not to get sick. He really took on such a big load for me, and I know he's going to continue to do that. He's actually walking our dog right now so that I could be on Zoom with all of you guys. But outside of leaning on him for support, as well as our other friends and family, I really want to make sure that in this beautiful chaos that is about to be my life, that I never forget who Lee Ellen is as a person. So, taking the time to check in with myself, protect my peace, and giving myself grace in this next season that I'm about to step into because it's going to be a whirlwind and I know it will be. And I want to make sure that I show up the best version of myself as a wife and as a mom and as a friend to everyone out there.
Well, that's now you have it. That is exactly why Mickey Daigle, after 35 years, still works this business and works it aggressively because of what she just said. Guys, I love you all. Don't get me wrong, but women are my passion. And being able to see someone young like this be able to have her own life. And like she said, the important part, she said this on a leadership call this morning. And I said, don't forget to share this tonight when you do this call. It's about not losing yourself, because we can do that, especially as women. We can do that. And we get so busy with being the wife, the mom, and everything, running around, doing all the things we have to do. We put ourselves last, and we don't need to be doing those types of things. So, Lee Ellen, thank you for sharing that. Now, guys and girls, I've heard this young lady train. She does a lot of trainings for us, on how to work this business and trainings about the product and all this. But my favorite training that Lee Ellen does is on handling objections. And I like to say she does it with such a sweet smile, and she's so beautiful. And she turns lemons into lemonade, with the handling the objections. That's what she does, she turns it all around. So I asked her tonight, although we don't have a whole bunch of time, so it's not going to be the full training, I wanted her to give us some nuggets, maybe some of your favorite, because I've seen you handle objections with that big, beautiful smile. And the person who ever had the objection forgot what the objection was because of the way she handles it. So give us some nuggets there, Lee Ellen.
Sure. This is obviously one of my favorite things to train on. So it's hard for me to decide what I want to say right now that
Yeah.
I can say this these next 5 minutes, but we'll have to do another longer one later down the line. But if you've been in this business for a while, you know that we carry it in life with us every single day in and day out. Juice Plus is with us. And that is one of those beautiful things about our business because we tend, well, it's the beautiful thing about our business, but also it can be a blessing and a curse at the same time because we carry it so much closer to our heart and
Mhm.
because it shows how much we care. And so we want to just help people tremendously. We want to get the word out. We want to change these lives. However, because we care so deeply, it can also hurt us just as deep whenever we get an objection. So I'm going to teach y'all a phrase that I think is so important in this business and helped me in the very beginning when I would first get objections. And that is other people's business or other people's opinions are none of my business. And I want you to tell yourself that every single day. Tell yourself that right now. Other people's opinions are none of my business. They're just not. They can think whatever they need to think, and it's going to stay in their head, and that's okay. We know how amazing our product in our business is, but other people don't. People don't know what they don't know. And it's our job and our privilege, it's our privilege to educate them. But not everyone is going to hear it the first few times, or maybe they don't want to hear it the first few times, and that's okay. We've heard plenty of NMDs get on that stage and share their story of how they wanted nothing to do with it for the longest time. So, thinking about this objection mentality, I want you to think about this analogy. I want you to picture yourself as a waitress and you're walking around a restaurant and you're offering to fill up coffee. For some reason, I always picture myself in IHOP when I do this. It has been years since I've been to an IHOP, but I'm always in IHOP when I think about this. So you're a waitress and you're walking around. Some people will say yes to more coffee. Some people will say, sure, yeah, I'll take some more. Other people will say, nah, I'm good, not right now. So when they say no, do you stop offering coffee to other people because that one person said no? Or do you go cry to your coworkers and say, oh my gosh, 5 people just told me they didn't want coffee. I'm on coffee duty today. What am I supposed to do? No, indeed. You're not going to do that because it's not a personal rejection. So you keep going around and you keep offering coffee to everyone else. But then maybe you revisit that table later on and offer them coffee. And maybe it's a better time and maybe they say yes to more coffee. I know I
Awesome.
do. So I want you to remember a no doesn't mean a no. It simply means not right now. So I want you to take a few things away from that analogy. Number one, it is not a personal rejection. When someone tells you no, never take it personally. I don't care if it's your best friend, your mom, your sister, your neighbor. They aren't saying no to you. They are not saying no to you. They are saying no to something they don't fully grasp yet. It is your job to educate them, to love on them, but meet them where they are. And that may mean you need to take a step back, or it may mean finding a different route of talking to them. And you can talk to your sponsor about that, get advice, share what's going on, and they would be happy to chat with you about that. The second thing is to revisit. Just because someone said no, it doesn't mean you can't ask again later. How many times have we shopped around in a retail store before deciding on something? How many times has a retail worker said, do you need any help? And you say, no, thank you. I'm just looking around. But when we need something specific or we need a dressing room, we ask for help. I said no the first time I was introduced to Juice Plus on social media. I had to be in person with Victoria to really catch that spark. You see, people's lives are constantly changing and going through different journeys. Some seasons, they will be more inclined to care about their health than others. Take me, pregnancy, for example. I have always been very health conscious, but right now I'm like, I've cut out dyes, I've cut out caffeine. We just have to continue to educate, to check in, and to love on them. That way, when they are in that season of thinking about their health, you are top of mind. And then the third thing is talk to people. Talk to people. Because guess what? Even though one person told you no, there's 10 other people down the street. There will always be no's in the middle of yeses, and there will always be yeses in the middle of no's. The same applies to our business with that waitress analogy. You just have to keep asking. So next time you get a no, I want you to think of it as an opportunity. You see, I believe objections are just little opportunities in disguise. It gives the chance to educate them a bit more on either our product or the business. So that is truly probably my biggest takeaway when it comes to handling objection. And then, of course, if you're super down the dumps about it, call your sponsor and help them get you talked out of that because that's not a good place to be. And sometimes when people get those objections, they want to quit. But how do you help people if you quit? You can't. So stay for yourself, stay for other people, and stay for all of those customers that you will get yeses from in years to come.
So that's just awesome tips. And if you remember, just remember those. And I mean, like I said, she does this training on like a line full of objections and stuff. So one day we're gonna have to have her on and just do some objection training. I know you guys would probably like that too, because we all get some type of objection. I mean, and think about it, just you make common sense with this. If you can't handle an objection in life, you have a problem because we get objected every day. I mean, we have objections every day. So, Leila, and I just love the way you handle it. You do a great training on all of this. So, what do you think? And this is just something we talked about it this morning, but what are you thinking about the brand new incentive we have going on for June?
Woo! I am excited. And if you aren't familiar with what's going on, I really am going to need you to call your sponsor and say, hey, I heard about this new incentive. What's going on? Because every single person needs to know about it. I mean, the fact that the companies are just rolling out these incentives
Mhm.
left and right, it really shows that they are showing up for us and we need to show up for them. So, Mickey, I am jazzed. I am all in.
Well, good. Well, look, we know you're excited, and we thank you so much for doing a call like this tonight because I'm sure that you would rather be taking a little snooze right now
Hey, Monday nights are
carrying around those two babies. So we definitely appreciate it. So before we close up, though, what I'd like you to do, and I like to say this, look around at the screen and let's just pretend that all these people are in the business 90 days or less. Might be brand new or not, might be 90 days that they started. But what would you say to them to
Mm,
get their business going?
yeah. So I want to give y'all a tangible tip because I think those are very practical. So, and this is how I grew my business when I was in my busiest, working those 6 part-time jobs. This is how I grew my business to SC, and it was working in stolen moments. So, what do I mean by that? Our business is a back pocket business, which means it goes with us everywhere we go. And most new partners have full-time jobs. Maybe they're currently working, they're in school, or maybe they're busy stay-at-home moms. But there are times in the day where maybe you have 5 minutes to watch a training video, or maybe you have 30 minutes on a lunch break to do some follow up. Can you dedicate once a week to getting on Zoom with your team or your sponsor to help you move forward? You see, if you want to make an impact, you have to actually schedule time for that to happen. And that could be an impact with your finances. That could be an impact helping others. So my biggest tip is to work in those stolen free moments because I can promise you everyone is busy and everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, but it's up to you on what you do with that time that counts. So be intentional because time is our biggest commodity. And I'm sure I'm about to experience that with twins. But maybe, just maybe, you can get some of that time back by pursuing this business. So be intentional with your time.
We so appreciate you. And we're all going to be paying attention to the day that what is it's I forgot your due date.
So technically, I don't have a due date anymore.
Uh-oh. It's those back twins.
Exactly. So sometime in late September.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we know something. We know she's not going to be coming to conference this time. This will be the
No.
first conference.
My first conference I missed, and I don't know how
First,
to feel about it.
you're gonna be miserable.
I'm gonna be like, man, I'm supposed to be there.
Well, we want to thank you so much, Lee Ellen and Carrie, if you want to take up, close it up.